Good morning, everyone. It's Sherry at Attic Inspire Crafter. I don't know if it will still be morning by the time you see this, but we'll see. Today, I'm bringing you a little walkthrough of what I created to go into the vintage garden journals that I've been speaking about. And these are called clusters. So clusters are really what they say. It's just a bunch of substrates and bits and pieces of stuff that you can put together in a random way to create little works of art on either cards. In this case, I'm going to put them in the journals. And it's all pieces of stuff that works with the type of journal that I'm creating. So in this case, it's going to be a vintage art journal. So I'll just put these aside and I'll just start taking out a bunch of them just to show you some samples. So each one is different in their own way. I actually sewed onto them and I've left these strings loose for now. I might cut them off once I position them in the journals, but for now they're just loose. So this is one, and this is tissue paper. This is just bits of, and you see the backs are a hot mess, but you're not going to see the backs. This is just leftover paper from when I did the other bits and pieces that I showed you. Some random things that came off when I was tea dyeing. This was parts of the tea dye, so I did a bunch of old ribbon and then just cut them up in pieces. I used those dies that came with the set that I created the other little pieces with and just added these here. So there's one. Here's another. And if you watch my last video and I talked about these embellishments, that can be a bit pricey. They are metal. And I actually filled them in with a wax distress crayon so that you can see the number onto them. But they can be a little bit pricey, but you know what? I decided to pull those things out and use them up. And I'm so happy how these turned out. Paper doily, little tiny paper clips, and just like scraps of paper. Here's another one. Again, some of those metal embellishment tabs. Here's like a little not a close pin, but a safety pin, and cut some little tags. This is actually acetate. This is from 49 and Market collection, and they have like a package of just acetate leaves. So I put quite a few. I think almost every cluster has a leaf, or every couple of clusters have leaves onto them because it goes with my garden theme. So how I started deciding what I was going to use is I just looked through all my stash, my leftover bits and pieces from the tea dyeing session, and the paper that I used for the line, and I just started putting them in little piles. And then I sat down and just started creating these little bunches. Here's another one. And I love all the loose thread. I'll probably end up leaving the loose thread on just because I like how it looks. And you can kind of manipulate it so that it's in little bunches on your project. So I really like that. Did some stamping. So quite a few of these pieces have stamps onto them here and there. Like all these little tags, I put little stamps on those. There's another one of those metal embellishments. So clusters. Who would have known that junk or stuff that we would have typically threw away, like this is just a piece of paper that came apart in my tea dyeing session that I saved, and then put a background stamp on it, and there you go. So as you can see by my container, I made a lot. So I made enough that I have 12 journals in total. I can probably get 3 of these in each journal. This is another metal embellishment, so that I just put it down, stamped Our Life is an Adventure, Love Our Life. Yeah, so it's just such fun little things. So here's one of those little tags, vintage paper clip. So I hope this gives you lots of ideas on what you can do with your bits and pieces. I know there's no end to it. Some people throw away all their scraps. Generally, I do if they're tiny scraps and if I don't have a purpose. But for this project, I knew I was going to have a purpose for all my scraps, so I put them aside. Here's another one. And this is just a piece of ephemera that came from the paper collection that I was using for this. And that one was called Curator, I do believe. Here's another one. So they're all kind of the same, but yet also different. And some are very large, some are very small. This is a nice fabric rose down on this paper. Here's a squirrel. Oh, actually there's two of these together. This one's just the squirrel photo with some, and I just ripped, I know some people might perish at the thought of ripping apart old books, but I go to yard sales and I'll buy a few old books. This one was a dictionary, and when I need a piece of old paper, I will just pull it out, and it doesn't matter to me what the names or the words are. It's just for the texture of it. I'm filming this outside again today, and my gosh, it's cold out. But it's beautiful. Here's another one, Priceless Memories. So I can't wait to get these in. I'm thinking one of them will go on the front of each journal. So I'll pick some really nice ones. They're all nice to me. So this again was just a scrap piece of paper that come off during my tea dyeing session. And I took a little tiny background stamp and just stamped over it just to give it some more definition. And you know, when I pulled my jelly prints from my stash to decide which ones I was going to use, I really love the purple color with the green and the old paper. That's been actually one of my favorite color palettes through this. Oh, it goes this way, I guess. Some more of that purple. These little tags are just loose, and as you can see, I stamped little sayings onto them. And here's another one. This one's got the mushrooms and the kind of that rusty color. This one's a cute one. It had, the dictionary was actually a sailboat, so I like that. Here's another one, again with that purple and green. So it's just endless as to the ideas that you can create and the things that you can use to create little embellishments for your projects. Wide open spaces. I think that's appropriate for gardening. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. As you can see, I still have a few down here. The other thing I did is I pulled out these. This is an old product from the Tim Holtz line. It's frames. And there was like, almost like the slides that they use to look under a microscope that fit into these. Some of them were the full length. Others were broken up into little 1x1 squares. And then I did some rub-ons on these. I'm not sure if I really like these enough. I might pull them apart and do something different. I'm just not sure. Let me know what you think. So I did a bunch. I like the ones that were the full glass better than the ones that were pieced. I didn't have enough of the glass, so I did fill in with little bits of chipboard and then just covered them with paper. Like I said, I'm not right struck on some of them. These ones here that have the full glass. Let me see if I can find one. And I did the rub-on kind of dictionary words. Those I like. But the ones that had the split glass, and I didn't have enough glass for them, and I filled them in, some of them I'm not really struck on. So we'll see what happens with those. That one's cute. So I did a whole bunch of those as well. So that has been my project for the last couple of days whenever I had a few minutes to craft. So I hope that this inspires you to pull out your stuff. And even if you're not crazy about the project that you end up with, or if you're doing like jelly prints or alcohol ink prints and you just don't like them or you can't imagine them as a card, don't throw them away. Just put them away somewhere. And when you're doing stuff like this, that's when you'll pull them out, and they will work super for using as bits and pieces. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoy this and let me know what you think.